Right, so, Castien mentioned me in his last recording. Said I had a rare moment of philosophical clarity. I will have him know that all my moments are clear. His are just wrapped in so many words that nobody notices. My name is Dumnas. I am a dwarf. And if you have been watching this archive, you already know me as the one Castien talks about, but never lets finish a story. Well, he is not here tonight. I am. And I have things to say. Castien invited me to his archive because he thought you might want to hear from someone who actually builds things instead of just reading about them. His words. I would have said it differently, but the point stands. Here is what I want to talk about. Your stories, your fantasy books, your games, your films. You put elves everywhere, front and center, beautiful, tragic, wise. They get the thrones and the speeches and the long dramatic stares into the distance. And dwarves? We get the ale jokes. You write us into the background, the comic relief, the loud one in the tavern who drinks too much and hits things with a hammer. Sometimes we get a mine, sometimes we get a grudge. Very occasionally, we get to die heroically saving an elf, which I find personally insulting. I have been alive for longer than most of your nations have existed. I have built bridges that your great-great-grandchildren will still be crossing. I have forged things that your finest smiths cannot even name. And in your stories, my greatest contribution is usually a punchline. Now, I am not angry about this. Disappointed, yes. And if you know dwarves, you know that disappointment is far worse than anger. Anger we get over quickly. Disappointment we carry for a very, very long time. So tonight, from this forge, I am going to set a few things straight about dwarves, about what we actually are, and about why your authors keep getting us wrong. Let me start with the obvious. You think we are short, angry, and good with a hammer. 2 out of 3. I will let you guess which 2. The height thing, fine, yes. We are shorter than elves and most humans. This is not a disadvantage. It is engineering. We are built closer to the ground because we live closer to the ground. Try swinging a pickaxe in a tunnel with 8-foot ceilings when you are 6 feet tall. You will understand very quickly why being compact is not a flaw. It is a design choice. But your authors treat it as comedy. The short one cannot reach the shelf. The short one needs a boost onto the horse. The short one looks funny standing next to the elf. I have heard all of these. Castien made the horse joke once. Once. He did not make it again. Now, the drinking. Yes, dwarves drink. So do elves, though they will never admit how much. The difference is that we are honest about it. But your books treat dwarven drinking as the entire personality, as if the only thing we do between battles is find the nearest barrel. I know a brewer, Glamdit, who treats ale the way your finest chefs treat food. Every batch is different, every ingredient matters. He has spent 300 years perfecting a single recipe. 300 years. That is not a drinking problem, that is dedication. But put that in one of your books and your readers would laugh. Because dwarves and ale, funny. And then there is the fighting. Yes, we fight. We are good at it. But your authors write us as if fighting is all we understand. As if the only dwarven contribution to civilization is hitting things very hard. My oldest friend, Lotmatir, draws maps. He has never held a sword in his life. An axe, yes, but never a sword. He has charted places that no other living soul has seen. But he would never appear in one of your stories because a dwarf with a compass is not dramatic enough. Let me tell you what dwarves actually are, since your authors will not. We are builders, not just of weapons and armor, though yes, we do that well. We build cities, roads, bridges, irrigation systems, aqueducts, the bones of civilization. The things that are still standing long after the kings who commissioned them are dust. There is a bridge in the eastern mountains. I built it myself 4 centuries ago. It is still there. still carrying traders and travelers across a gorge that would kill anyone who tried to cross without it. No one remembers who built it. No one writes songs about bridges. But every single person who crosses it is alive because a dwarf spent 2 years cutting stone in the rain. That is what we do. We build things that outlast us, not because we want glory, leave that to the elves, because it needs doing, and because a thing built well is its own reward. Your one human author understood this, Heitz. He wrote about dwarves as if they were the center of the story, not the sidekick, not the comic relief, the actual center. I read those books, all of them, and I will admit that he got closer to the truth than almost anyone else who has put a dwarf on paper. Tolkien tried, and I respect the effort. He gave us Erebor. He gave us the quest in that smaller book, the one with the halfling. But even Tolkien could not quite stop himself from making us the loud ones, the proud ones who make bad decisions because we love gold too much. As if wanting to keep what you built with your own hands is a character flaw. We do not love gold. We love craft. Gold is just the material that does not rust, does not rot, and holds an edge on an engraving for 1,000 years. It is practical. But try explaining that to an elf. So where did we go? That is the question, is it not? In the older stories, dwarves were everywhere. We built the halls, we forged the weapons, we held the lines when everyone else ran. And then, somewhere along the way, your authors stopped writing about us. We faded into the background, a footnote, a side quest. I have a theory about that. Your stories got taller. Literally. They started reaching for the sky. Floating cities, celestial beings, cosmic threats. And dwarves? We work best underground, in the dark, in the stone. Your stories went up, and they left us behind. But here is what your authors forgot. The sky falls down eventually. And when it does, when your floating cities crash and your celestial beings lose interest, someone has to rebuild. That is us. That has always been us. We do not disappear, we just stop being visible. Because we are underneath, doing the work that keeps the world standing. And your authors, most of them, never think to look down. I did not come to CASTIEN'S archive to complain. I came because he asked, and because I owed him a favor, and because I thought you should hear this from someone who actually knows what a forge smells like, not from an elf who read about it in a book. There is more I could tell you, about the deep roads, about the old holds, about what happened when humans first came knocking on our gates, and what we thought of that. But Castien keeps telling me that shorter is better, which I find ironic coming from someone who once spent 40 minutes telling you about elf ears. I am Dumnus. I build things. And if your authors ever decide to remember that dwarves exist, I will be here, probably in this forge, doing what I always do, making something that lasts. What would you tell a dwarf? I am told the council meets in the comments.